Welcome to 5 Minutes in the Word, your daily podcast, script, prayer, and meditation. Today I have a very special guest. He is my brother, and he is
That's me.
yes, and he's going to share with us. I'm trying to continue to focus on faith and not fear, and offer encouragement and inspiration. And we were having a little discussion about the book of Psalms, and that it's hard to choose Psalms that, especially when David has so many that are lamenting his enemies and asking God to, cut this person's head off. It was
Mhm.
hard for me to find Psalms, all Psalms, find something positive in all of them. But he says there's a message in every Psalm, even those that are lamenting. So today he has the floor.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And we were looking at Psalm 10, and
Mm-hmm.
my picture of God lets me know that pretty much every time we go through life, anybody that goes through life, they're not always going to have sunshiny days, but life is full of mountaintop experiences and valleys. And
True.
David shows us that in Psalm 10. What I like about this psalm is that in the very first verse, David does what many of us do and feel guilty about. David asks God a question, right? God, where are
Right.
you? God, what are you doing?
Yep.
And
When in trouble, I'm in trouble.
I'm in trouble. I'm looking at everything around me and it's crazy. It doesn't make sense. God, why are you going to let this happen? And the reality of it is, if we're truthful, all of us have been at that place. But uh, what I like about David's psalm is he shows us that we all go through the process. And when you look at that psalm and you look at verse 2 all the way down to verse 12 or 13, what David does is he simply gives a commentary about what he sees.
Okay, you going to read some of them?
Uh, no, I'm not going
You
to
want
read
me
them.
to read some? You want me to read
Go
some
ahead,
of them?
read it. Pick
Okay,
one.
I'll start. Okay, I'll start with Psalm number 1. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? Why do you hide in times of trouble? That's verse 1.
Mm-hmm,
The wicked in his pride persecutes the poor.
mm-hmm,
Let them be caught in the plots which they have devised.
mm-hmm. And stop right there,
Okay.
because David has a legitimate complaint. God, I'm looking at what is going on in the world. Why are you so distant?
Mhm.
It seems like you're not paying attention to what we're going through. But he continues his list of charges or his list of complaints, or he gives his commentary all the way down to verse 13. He's going to tell you that they're wrong. He's going to tell you that they're wicked. He's going to tell you that they're greedy. And in all of that, we could take all of that and put it in an everyday bubble uh, about what life's looked like. We could say
True.
we've been hurt, we've been disappointed. God, we see injustice, and you could go down the list all day. But the reality of it is that the process brings David to verse 14. Read that.
Okay. It says, but you have seen, you observe trouble and grief to repay it by your hand. The helpless commits himself to you.
And what
You
happens with
are the
us,
helper.
right? Now, let's
Yes.
check it out. What happens with us is if we are Bible believing Christians, if we believe God, then we will have faith rather than fear because the process brings us back to the very place David is in verse 14. God, you have it under control. When I step back and look at it, and I remember you've been faithful through the ages. You never let us fall. You never let us falter. When we've been down, you've been our help to lift us up again. You've been the lifter of our head. You've been the joy that keeps us moving. And because of that, God, we're going to hand this situation over to you. And watch what he says in verse 17.
It says, Lord, you have heard the desire of the humble. You will prepare their heart. You will cause your ear to hear.
And that is the confidence that we have as believers. If we're going to move in faith and not fear, we have to understand that God sits high and he looks low, and life is in his timing and not our timing. And that's how I look at this particular song.
And you did an awesome job because I did not see any of that. But I
Well,
do thank you.
thank you,
And we
big
want to
sister.
bless, I know, and we want to bless everyone. Look forward to my brother's podcast. It's going to be Patrick DeReal when I encourage him to get this started. He
Oh,
has a
God.
strong and powerful word that you've got to hear. Even if it's once a week, it's going to be out there. Thank you.
You're
Enjoy.
welcome. Bye
Good
bye.
night. Bye bye.